Welcome to the 6th annual Back to School Conference with Thomson Rogers and the Toronto Acquired Brain Injury Network. We are delighted that you're here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting us. I'd like to remind you that all of the proceeds from your registration fees go directly to support the Toronto ABI Network. So you are not only bettering yourself, but you're bettering your community by being here, and we thank you very much for it. We're delighted to be, give yourselves a round of applause for doing that. And since we're into an interactive mode, I'd like everyone to look around at your table and introduce yourselves to the people who are with you at your tables. That may be easy for a couple of you who have already know each other. But say hello. You'll be sharing notes. It's all good. I'm Craig Brown. I'm a partner at Thomson Rogers. Thomson Rogers is proud to be a sponsor of this program each year, and we're very proud to be partners with the Toronto Acquired Brain Injury Network. Much of the programming for today's conference was designed and implemented by Charissa Levy and her group at Toronto Brain Injury Network, and we're grateful to them for the hard work they did in putting this conference together. I have a few logistical matters that I'd like to address before we get into the substance of the conference. And the first is, and most important, is that the washrooms are out the back. The ladies' washroom is to the left, and the gentleman's washroom is to the right. Make a note. The second thing that is almost as important is that each of you should check your cell phones to make sure that they're off. I know that most of you have already done that and have already turned them off, but you wouldn't. But I'd be grateful if you could look at it again just to make sure that that you aren't embarrassed by a phone call during the conference. The third item is that in the colorful and informative binder that you received in the probably the nicest conference bag I've seen in a long time is an evaluation form. It's in the front cover, and we would be very grateful if you would think about each presentation and evaluate it as soon after the presentation as you can, and to turn in the evaluation forms at the end of the day. We use these forms, we scrutinize them very seriously. We use them to try to make our presentations better on an individual basis, and we use them collectively to try to make this conference a better and more useful exercise for all of us. So we thank you for participating in that way as well. After each of the presentations, and probably after the panels, although that will be up to the moderator of the panels, there will be an opportunity to ask questions, and we have microphones set up in 2 places in the room. Please don't be shy about standing up and asking questions. This is your community, these are your people and your friends, and we would love to hear from you and to have your thoughts. In terms of timing, lunch will be served at noon, and our experience with the Four Seasons is that it's worth waiting for, and we will give you an hour to enjoy it because it's worth savoring. The afternoon program is worthwhile, and we encourage you to stay through the entire program. Most importantly, though, at the end of the afternoon, at 4 o'clock, there will be a special presentation to one of the preeminent members of our community, Dr. Peter Rumney, and we would be grateful if you would be here for that presentation at 4 o'clock. The reward for your attendance and for your patience will be cocktails at 4:15, which I'm told will surpass lunch in splendor and taste. So again, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for supporting this wonderful cause and for joining us today. I'm going to ask Charissa Levy to say a few remarks before I introduce our first speaker, Darcy Merker.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to be very brief. I want to also acknowledge the hard work of Joe Pileggi, Jenny Guest, and others from the team at Thomson Rogers who really also worked very closely with us. I want to echo Craig's comments about the evaluation forum. When we first started planning for this event, we looked past, I would say, to the last 3 evaluations and really built on the comments that we had in there and really scoped through that. So really appreciate your feedback on that. I think most folks in the room know about the ABI Network, but for those that don't, just very briefly, we represent 20 member organizations that are funded by the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care and work collaboratively with the acute teaching hospitals, the rehabilitation hospitals, community-based organizations, and others to improve services for clients and families living with acquired brain injury. We also play a role in managing a regional coordination office and standardizing a centralized wait list for access to the brain injury rehab beds at Toronto Rehab, West Park, and Bridgepoint. So certainly very much appreciate the support of Thomson Rogers and the proceeds for this event. And I can't tell you, I'm really excited about the day today. I think it's going to be a great discussion, a lot of engagement and interaction and between the hospitals and the community-based organizations, public sector, private sector, and really looking at how we can collectively work together to support the needs of individuals living with acquired brain injury. So thank you so much, and I look forward to the day.
Thanks, Charissa. I think you've looked at the program, and I think all of us understand how important it is, how significant the transition from hospital to home is, and how important teamwork is in that transition. We as lawyers consider ourselves to be part of the team. We consider ourselves to be in some cases, the providers of extra valuable resources to make that transition easier and more successful. And we look forward to working with all of you in those efforts. We're starting the conference with a talk that is slightly off topic, but is of such significance to the work we do and to the resources that we are able to bring to this transition work, that we thought it was important that we review it. And we've asked Darcy Merker, a partner at Thomson Rogers and a specialist in the SABS legislation and its Byzantine changes over the last decade, to speak to you about proposed legislative changes to the statutory accident benefit framework, and in particular with respect to the catastrophic definition and the resources that become available with that status. Darcy has been a partner at Thomson Rogers for longer than anybody can remember. He is well known to you. I don't really need to make this introduction. I think he knows every single person in the room by name. He achieved certified specialist status with the Law Society of Upper Canada at an age that most people have just graduated from university at, and since then has been recognized by his peers as a specialist in personal injury in the Lexpert survey and as one of the best lawyers in Canada in the best lawyers list. I personally have been happy to be Darcy's partner and next door neighbor in the office, because he is also the developer of the personal injury damage assessment program. And I was his beta tester for many years and got to work my way through this spreadsheet, which is truly a miracle and has, I think, generated, and Darcy is not normally a modest person, but he will be modest about this. I think it has generated tremendous resources for injured people by making visual and making vivid the damages that and the quantification of those damages that accident victims have suffered. So indirectly, I think Darcy's work has really helped us all. So with those remarks, I'm going to ask Darcy to come up and tell us all about what's happening in the SABS world. He is then going to chair a panel, and he will introduce the panel members. Thanks again. Thanks, Darcy.